Hi guys, today I thought I would do a video on the bumper frame here, the support frame of the 109. I wasn't going to shoot a video, but I thought because this is quite a common area that gets damaged, normally from people putting floor jacks under this beam. This beam's only made up of two pieces of 16 gauge steel, like a box member here, and this pinch weld, you know, they put the jack underneath there and it gets all bent up. I'll show you. I already cut out the bad section. If you can see it, this is the, yeah, it's this way round. Okay, hopefully you can see this. This is the bottom section. I mean, you can see it's all crunched and bent. It's a little distorted because when I cut it out, but see, that's the pinch weld. It's all been folded. So obviously that's no good. So I cut that section out. So I put tape on it just because it makes it easier to mark. This back section here I straightened with a piece of steel bar, just bent it down and then cleaned this all out. Inside this chamber here was full of a lot of flaky rust and kind of gunk and sludge and everything, because I think at the factory, I'm not sure that these pinch welds have a seam sealer on it, because it didn't look like it. So when I'm finished here, I'll definitely seal all these edges up, and I'll probably inject some wax oil inside the chamber to make sure it doesn't rust out, because like I say, it's just 16 gauge steel. I didn't show you, I didn't do the video on the bending the metal because you've seen me do it before. This first section is just a little L piece here to essentially go in the back here. Still got to do a little bit of cutting and trimming. That will go in essentially just like that there, okay, and then this piece here will come in at the front. Obviously I've got to trim this to fit. This will come in at the front here and be butt jointed into there. Again, I didn't show you how that I made this piece, but this little radius here, I just used a router bit on a lump of wood to get this same radius, bent it over that, and then just a simple break, not a break, I haven't got a break, a simple right angle there. So that's, and this is, like I say, all 16 gauge steel I'm using. So I'm going to weld this one on, or cut this to fit this guy tonight. I'll see if I can get it welded on tonight and get that section all sectioned in there, and then move on to the next one. Okay, so I'm just stitch welding it up, or doing some spot welds, really making sure that it's level all the way. Just checking, putting these little clamps on as I go, making sure, and I'm going to grind these because and then it will show me where any gaps are, and check for pinholes, because I certainly want this completely sealed perfect, but that's coming out pretty nice. Just got this little few more spots to put here, then I think I'll grind them and then carry on stitching it all up. So that's just the first panel going on. So last night, as I showed you, I got that tacked and welded on. I finished that up this evening, just tacking off the rest of the welds and grinding them flat. I've cut the patch out, this guy, and put all the spot weld holes in it, and so I'm going to get that into there tonight. And I've got to use these little stitch magnets because it's kind of a tricky one to hold. Let's get, this is all been copper primed for weld through primer, and say I'm going to probably put in some cavity sealer or something inside this to make sure nothing rusts in the future. So let's get this magnet on here. These are very powerful little magnets, but they're good for this kind of thing. And play around. You need quite a few of them. If you hear kids in the background, it's the little nephews are over, because obviously they're not at school because of all this COVID stuff. So we're trying to give my wife's sister a little break. Yeah. So anyway, no, they're all right. They're just playing video games in there. Okay, I think you can see that now. Zoom in a bit. You want a little gap here so you get a sort of weld through penetration to the other side. If it was budded right up, it's difficult to get penetration right the way through. And essentially I'm just going to fill this gap with the weld, working my way along. And as I say, I've got the pinch weld holes ready at the bottom. So let's crank the old welder up and get this position. That looks pretty good. I'll make absolute sure I can use a screwdriver and lever and make sure that this is dead level as I go. So let's get that cranked up. I'll make sure you turn the helmet from grind setting to weld setting, otherwise you could get arc eye. And you can start taking the magnets off, because apparently if you leave them on it can demagnetize them. Don't know why, but you only need them just to hold it. Just making sure we're all level. That one's a little proud, you see, so I'm going to lever that one with a screwdriver. Because this is 16 gauge, we don't have to worry too much about warping, because this is all so sturdy and it's got a curve in it that adds a lot of strength to it. But I'm not going to, still even so, I'm not going to go boom 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 all along just in case. But that's nice and level there, you see, so I'll get a couple in now. Okay, see, I'm just working my way along here. Little spot welds, a little uneven right there, so I'm going to correct that. And this one needs pulling out, so I can get a lever or screwdriver in to pull that out. This one's a bit of a larger gap than I would like, but I can feel that. See that? I'll just pull that out just a smidge. There's all my pinch welds ready. Okay, I just thought I'd show you, I'm just doing the spot welds here. Got to keep this plate really nice and tight here, you see. These are already done, so let's get this one out. Well, let me put this one to here. Just going to do that one there. Got to fill the hole. Like a little rosette, you know, so hopefully you can see that. Tried to space them the same distance as you know, the original. A little pop there. Okay, you can see it's coming along. Kind of looks a little bit of a mess at the moment because you've got to grind all those up, but it's nice and level, that's the main thing. And like I've talked to you before, just like woodworking, if I kind of same principle, making sure this is level and just grinding the welds themselves so you don't make the material thin. This is got a little wiggle room because this is thick gauge material, but if it's 18 gauge or 20 gauge, you've got very little room for error. So I'm approaching it just like I would a veneer patch. You know, when you're veneering a piece of wood, you've got to get the veneer patch as close as possible, because you can't essentially sand a veneer patch. It's just at most going to be very gently scraped with a razor blade or something, just to get this dead level. So same principle really. Okay, now we've ground it all up. I've finished doing all those little spot stitch welds. making really sure that we were level all the way. And there's a couple of areas like here where there's a screw and there's a little lip here. I may end up kind of tapping it down to finish the countersunk and then welding it, but I'll see. And same goes for here, there's a little one similar to that. But overall it's come out really nice. There's a little deviation here, just where the two metals are a little bendy together, and needs to be filled there. But when you get to this point, because there's been a fair bit of grinding, I'm very careful to make sure we're just grinding the welds and not the metal itself. This polish is actually from a 120 flat disc, one of these kind of things that cleans it all up, but being very careful to make sure you're only taking the welds down. And what I found, a couple of different ways, I found I'm using a grinding wheel just to skim off the top of those heads of the welds, and as soon as I get close, you know, close to the point where I'm touching the material, then I switch to a flat disc, and you just seem to have a little bit more control. And then and then one of these little guys, you know, on the die grinder, just to kind of finesse it. Same with the spot welds here. Now, as far as these very tiny little pinholes you get here and there, I don't want to go back and spot weld those and grind those, because again you're risking making the metal thin. So what I'm thinking, I'd like some feedback from you guys, is some of that epoxy, I think it's by Pour 15, you mix two together and kind of knead it, and I think that would be ideal for these tiny little pinholes, and then that sands off. Because I'm of the thought I want as much metal back in here as possible and as minimal filler. That's why I don't want to use a lot of filler in any of this car, only the absolute bare minimum. And I was told by a friend of mine, when you come across, say, little rust holes, for instance, you know, this kind of size, what they do and other people do, they just get this Pour 15 and bung it in there. And I don't know about you, but that seems a little bit corner cutty for me. I might be being overly fussy, but my feeling is to just use that stuff for the most smallest of holes, you know. But anyway, give me your feedback on that. I might be just going a bit over the board. But with furniture, for instance, we always want to try and get wood back in, not filler, and filler's used literally for little tiny imperfections. Obviously you're going to use contouring filler in bodywork, you know, to do that, you know, and block sand. Obviously I'm not talking about that kind of stuff, but obviously that still needs to be kept to a minimum as well. But anyway, so I think overall this has come out real nice. I've got a little tiny bit here where the lap welds come together. I'll probably run a little weld here and sand that through. Before I go, I'm sure some of the keen-eyed members will notice these jack stands here, 6 ton, they're from Harbour Freight, and they were actually purchased, probably about 2 months ago. What are we now? We're August, so I think June, I think beginning of June I bought them because I wanted some extra beefy ones. And as you know, some of these jack stands have been recalled, but it's come to light that all of the jack stands by Harbour Freight are now being recalled. So don't worry, I'm not getting back under the car. Now these are going back. I've got 2 pairs of 6 ton jack stands on order from another place that so I will be taking those back. So, and also at any point I always have backups. If you've noticed, I've got ramps under there as well. Plus I have put the spare tyres under there because, you know, you don't want to get crushed under one of these things, do you? So overall it's come out pretty good. Saved this beam. It's all 16 gauge just like the original, and now I can move on to the next stage. I'm not going to move over to this side of the car yet until I switch the car around, because as you can see I've got limited space in here. So I'm going to work my way over to the rocker again and start attending to finishing that rocker up, the floor pan, and then start working my way to the back passenger side and see what's going on with that jacking point. I'll have to cut the rocker open and see what's going on in there, because someone's obviously done some filling and some bodge work. So I hope you're enjoying watching these videos. I know sometimes they go on a little bit, but I've got a lot a detail I want to pass over. So anyway, so there you go. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.